أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Respected scholars, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The topic of Al-Quds is a very important topic, and we've limited it to something that is a regional phenomenon. And to understand the importance of this day and this movement, let's first establish a couple of realities. We talk about our 12th Imam, we talk about him being in ghaibat. It's a concept that our kids don't really understand. You know, this Imam who is not visible, he's an invisible Imam. And so let me first very quickly establish the reason why the Imam went to ghaibat, and the conditions by which he will come out of that ghaibat. And then I want to really tackle a few misconceptions that a lot of you have, that perhaps you're a bit too scared to ask. Now, questions like, why are we supporting Palestine? Questions like, isn't this an Iranian thing? I'm not Iranian. Questions like, what's the difference if I'm out there in Melbourne or not? The dhulm will continue. These are really fundamental questions that need to be addressed for you to even begin to now take part in this movement. But first, a simple example. Now in Toronto, as I've told many of you, we have really deadly winters there. And you would think that in those winters where it's minus 30 degrees, it's snow, it's ice, everything, that we would stay in our homes, but we don't. Our kids play ice hockey in the streets during the winter. And they have a street, and they have a couple of nets, they have a ball, they have a stick, and they play for hours and hours. I want you to imagine that you are in the streets of Toronto and there's ice hockey being played, and it's time for them to leave. There's a street lamp on their street. Please follow me. My voice is not getting, so I just got off the number. So give me 2 minutes and my voice will fix itself, inshallah. I want you to imagine they play for about half an hour, and then, you know, they're kids, right? They're a little bit, as they say in Iran, they're shayduni kids, right? They grab a big rock, and they throw it, and they break the light, and they take off. So the city of Toronto comes and says, oh, there's a light out, so they go and they fix the lights, and they move on. Happens, right? The next Sunday, the same amount of kids go and play hockey, and exactly, oh, they said, oh, they changed the light, okay. Hockey's played, they grab a rock, they hit the light, and they run. It's not the moral of the story, it is. Don't go breaking lights tomorrow. Second time now the city of Toronto comes and fixes the light, and they move on. Third Sunday, like, oh, these guys keep fixing the light, let's keep breaking the lights. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 11 times the light is broken, and the 12th time the light is fixed. But this time the city decides, I'm going to fix the light and put a cage over that light. The light is still coming, but now they can throw all the rocks they want, it's not going to break the light whatsoever. And when the city understands that these kids will not break this light anymore, the cage will be removed. 11 Imams were shaheed. 11 Imams were shaheed. The 12th one, Allah says, give him to me, let him be in ghaibat. When I see that the public and the Shias are ready for him, I will announce his own zuhur. And the idea of a cage over a light, the idea of a sun behind the clouds. Many times we've heard that hadith, that how do we benefit from an imam who's in ghaibat? Just like you benefit from a sun that's behind the clouds. You can't see the sun, but you feel the warmth, you see the light, everything is there but the sun itself. So the onus to have the imam come out of ghaibat is ours. It's in our courts. We are the ones that are delaying this arrival of our imam. And part, the bare minimum that we can do at least, is to begin to now prepare the grounds for his arrival. And we all know that his arrival is based on one major component. Nowhere in the hadith, the ulama are here, nowhere in the hadith does it say that the Imam will come and establish Islam, establish Shiism, establish the Muslim faith. No, everywhere you go, he is coming to establish what? Justice. So part of establishing justice is to remove those who are doing injustice. It's a very basic, bare minimum concept. The funny part is that we have the Ahlul Bayt as our role models. We have their seerah in front of us. We love them, we cry for them, we beat our chest for them, we wear black for them, we wear red for them, we dress up, we light up everything for them. But for some reason, when it comes to us following their path, there's a little bit of a hesitation there. Imam Hussein, during the time when Yazid was announced as a successor, a lot of people ask us, Molana, these Palestinians, they're Nasibi people. They have Bughz Ali in their hearts. They don't like us. You want us out there chanting for their freedom? Why should we? They're Sunnis. Why should we chant for them? Let me give you an answer. Forget my logic, forget anything else. The logic comes from the seerah of Imam Hussein. The same Imam Hussein that we would what? Give our life for. That we every single Thursday we wish we were there the day of Ashura. فَيَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ مَعَكُمْ فَأَفُوزَ مَعَكُمْ. If only we were there with you, we would attain success as well. That same Imam Hussein, his seerah is what? 25,000 letters. Written from where? From Mecca, from Medina, written from Kufa. Kufa was what? Kufa was that place that was responsible for the shahadat of his father. He was killed in Kufa. The movement began in Kufa. 25,000 letters now from that same Kufa to the son of the man that they killed, saying, please come and help us. Do we have anywhere you tell me, one hadith, one statement, one jelly hadith that we have, where the Imam said that, you know what, these guys from Kufa are writing me? They have some audacity, some gall. They killed my father, they shed his blood, now they ask me for help. It's one to have Bughz Ali in your heart. It's one where you're responsible for his killing. But yet Imam Hussein, time and time again, says to Muslim ibn Aqil, go and find out what's happening in Kufa. If you tell me they're ready for inqilab, I will come and lead that inqilab. Nowhere near, nowhere once does Imam Hussein ask for the aqidah of every single person asking for help. Sorry, not once. I want you to make two groups for me in these letters. One letter is for the Shias, one group is for the Sunnis, one group is for that. We'll ignore these guys? No, not like that. As Raza said, the moment that you see dhulm anywhere, one group of people for sure that are there are the Shias. It doesn't matter who the oppressor is. We've said oftentimes, in the streets of downtown Toronto, on a roof of a car, in front of 20,000 people, we've said that if those oppressors in Palestine are Christian, or Jew, or Shia, or Sunni, we will stand beside them. Not for anything else, it's a seerah of our Ahlul Bayt. When Imam Ali is writing a will to his son Imam Mustafa, he says what? Support the oppressor, support the oppressed, rise up against the oppressor. It's a statement that's mutlaq, meaning what? That wherever there is an oppressor, rise up. Whoever the oppressed is, support them. The statement does not say, okay, so long as the oppressor is in this part of the world and the oppressed are the Shia from this town and this village, then support them. No. Wherever you see dhulm, rise up and speak out against it. Right? So we can search for reasons to not attend these programs and not come out in the streets and not do that. The seerah of our imams that we have grown to love says something else. Now point number two, and very, very important, is what is the effect of all this now? First of all, we're not naive up here. We don't believe that if all of you decide to show up on the Al-Quds program, that all of a sudden, the Zionist regime will shut off what they're doing. No, we're not naive up here. We do know, of course, that the more that we chant and the more that we are on the streets, the more it seems like they're doing through. The common statement that we should always apply in our life when it comes to acts of worship is our job is to uphold the faridah. The natija is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If somebody asked you that did you uphold this faridah, and if you say, look, I didn't see a good natija, so I didn't do the faridah, that's not going to fly in the hereafter. Because the response right away will come, look, Baba, don't worry about the natija. That's in our hands. You are responsible for the faridah. Nobody's asking anybody here to take up arms or take the law in your own hands, or even if you don't want to hold a sign, chant, nothing, no problem. Don't address the media, don't be in front of cameras, nothing. Just stand there in this group. So if somebody was to ask you, did you ever stand up against the oppressor of your time and follow the path of Hussein ibn Ali? You can say, yes, I did. Let me give you a little bit of history about what happens in our city. We used to have Al-Quds protests on the last Friday of the month of Ramadan. We've had it for decades now, ever since I was a child. In the beginning, it was a handful of us and just going in circles on the corner, right across from the embassy, just in circles. A little bit of signs, some chants, and within 10 minutes, half an hour, we're gone. And we kept doing it to the point where now, as I mentioned to a few brothers, now we have 25,000 people come up to our rally. And not only is that a sign of our success, what the biggest sign of our success is that there's a Zionist movement in Toronto that also comes out on that same day and lines the streets of our protest and waves the Zionist flag and swears at us and screams at us. They bring their dogs and they threaten us with the dogs. The dogs bark at us. And they say, look, it's barking at you because you're this and you're that. And they use the most filthiest languages to our mothers, to our wives, to our women. And while we are, thinking to ourselves that we're not successful, this is probably the biggest sign of our success. As Imam Khomeini said, the moment Shaitan notices you, you've been successful. Not only have we dragged our mu'mineen out, we dragged the enemy out as well out of there. And now every single year they go to block our permit. It's a hateful protest, they incite hate, anti-Semitism. We simply, And this Hakim has an opportunity now to speak every single year, like I said, on the roof of vans, on the roof of cars. It's so hyped downtown. And you'll see 25,000 people chanting for Palestine. Because this movement, let me also tell you, we have to be a little bit active, we'll see it, and I'll end with this, I'm sorry. Is this idea that we have to understand this has nothing to do with Palestine. I said it. And everything to do with Israel. What Imam Khomeini rahmatullah had in his Jahan Bini, his overall view of the world, was something else. He realized that we have to uproot the system of Zionism. And what they want to do right now is that they want you to look at every act of violence all over the world as a separate piece of the puzzle. So what's happening in Pakistan is separate. Sheikh Nimr is separate. Sheikh Zakzaki is separate. What's happening in Bahrain? Separate. Yemen? Separate. Iraq? Separate. Whereas if you look at it, they're all part of the exact same puzzle. The worst thing you could do is look at it through different means. Look, the example is the tree. Okay? And they have various branches to one tree. Anywhere and everywhere you see a genocide, oppression, mass killing, target killing. No, that's part of one tree, just one branch. Now what we've done in the past is we break off the branch and go, okay, you know what, that branch is gone. The branch comes back stronger. You kill Al-Qaeda, ISIS pops up, a little bit stronger. That's what happens. The problem is the branches, leave them alone. The branches will come and they'll go. What you have to focus on is what? Is the roots of the tree. And the roots of the tree right now in the world are what? Every branch of terrorism in this world, trickle that down to the roots, and those roots is Zionism. Nothing else. And Zionism is now an ideology that's inside Saudi, it's inside Qatar, it's inside Israel, it's inside everything. It's not just a Jewish idea. We respect our Jewish brothers. We love our Jewish brothers. And we have rabbis every single year telling us that Israel is something different, Zionism is something different. Just like Islam is one thing and Takfirism is something else. It's the exact same comparison. There's no way we claim that Takfiri Wahhabi is part of Islam. They also don't complain, say that Zionism is part of the Israel or the Jewish madhab of the religion. So what Imam Khomeini thought to himself, if I make the world focus on Palestine, I'm unmasking the Zionist regime. And every other branch after that will fall. I humbly ask you to understand these things. Open up our eyes a little bit. Understand what's happening. This Orlando tragic shooting that resulted in a sheikh from Sydney going home just yesterday from IHIC because he made some comments 3 years ago in an academic discourse. And that's what they want. They want to incite fear. They want to make you feel you can't say anything. You're part of this society. It's giving you some rights. Live within those rights. Don't take the law in your own hands. All we're asking you to do is simply be present. So if ever on the day of judgment, anyone ever asks you, did you uphold the mission of Imam Hussein in your part of the world, you can say, yes, I did. And that's all we're asking. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make us successful in this movement, inshallah, and to unmask the weak in the hands of the enemies of Islam, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.